All good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're in the world. My name is Dr. DAAM. This is Dr. DAAM Podcast. This is episode 21, title Leveling Up. And I love the texts I keep on getting. It does not get muted on my computer. But hey, just thank you very much for the last 20 episodes. It's been a ride so far. We're now at episode 21. Looking forward to however more in the future that I can pump out as part of this growing development process. I've settled on this background as my natural background because, well, my attempt at making different type of backgrounds failed, and I saw based on episode 20 this was my best output. See all the stuff in the back, hats, books. You can tell I'm a prolific reader. I'll admit some of the books I have not read. I just love to collect them also too to have on my desk on my bookshelf behind me. There's other bookshelves all the way around this room. So I have my own personal library because for me, if I have knowledge, I have power, and I can also share that power with others. So I want to take time to talk about a topic I find very helpful as I navigate society. And as you know, I call this the Society Podcast, also affectionately call this podcast a Mom and Pop Podcast because it's a Mom and Pop operation. I'm the pop, and my wife's the mom upstairs, but she doesn't realize she's part of it, but that's why it's Mom and Pop. Anyway, so part of how I have approached my life, and I've shared this with others, many people read books to develop themselves, which is great because books have testimonials on an array of people's experience of how they have grown up in life through different backgrounds, through different struggles, through different achievements. They've made, hopefully, a difference to society, which is what I always try to stress via this podcast, that at the end of the day, no matter what you do in this life, you should ought to make a positive difference in our society, whether it's here in the United States or around the globe. So I like to talk about the fact that how I learned about leveling up. And it was not through books. It was through anime. My favorite anime was Dragon Ball Z, and also followed by Naruto and others along the way. And the characters were always leveling up. They would never stop achieving. They would never stop learning. They would never stop developing. They would always want to work really hard to get to an unknown level. One of my favorite character is Asta from Black Clover. He basically, strong guy, started swinging a sword, and now he can fly. And he can cut planets in half and stuff like that with a sword. But we all of us have an understanding of what it takes for us to go to the next level. As I mentioned, my leveling up learned from watching anime characters who worked hard, who pushed themselves, and basically became the ultimate character. And even when they became the ultimate main character, they still continued to drive themselves forward. And you understand that part of leveling up is there are levels within levels. I think the perfect example is the fact that when you go from high school to college to graduate school to postgraduate school and then beyond, there's different levels. You get your high school diploma, you get your associates or your bachelor's, likely your bachelor's, then your master's degree, then your doctorate, and then another doctor or another master's degree, and you discover that not all levels are equal. What I mean by that, if you get a doctorate and you're like, okay, that's it, there may be actually a master's degree that's actually stronger than a doctorate, and you don't realize it. It's one of those things I learned over time. The fact that yes, I have a doctorate, master's, whatever, but I was still not at the level that I need to be in order to become the person I intend to be. I'm still searching for that person that I intend to be because he is levels beyond where I am at this point in time. Levels figuratively and literally. And I'm chasing that person because I know he, ahead of me, is making a difference in our society. And if I can catch him, and I hope I never will, because then I would have stopped leveling up, I will see what he would have done going forward into the future, making positive difference in people's lives. And that is part of leveling up. I think also another way to understand leveling up, especially in terms of how we can grow in our society, is through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The pyramid with the 5 levels, and the topmost level is self-actualization, where you basically mastered you need to eat, you've done X, Y, and Z, and you've got to the pinnacle where you've self-actualized, you achieved what you needed to achieve. But if you step back and really think about it spatially, it's a pyramid. And pyramids have pyramids inside of pyramids. The pinnacle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs does not exist, even if you see that pyramid. Because there's smaller pyramids, tinier pyramids. It gets tinier and tinier. Infinite number of pyramids, meaning infinite levels. And the way you can really think about it in our society is, let's think about basketball stars. We have Steph Curry, we have LeBron James, we have Kevin Durant. Those are considered the 3 defining players of our era, this current era. You can also throw in Novak Djokovic in there because of his elite talent in terms of scoring, blocking, passing, and all his other great skills, and the number of MVPs he's won. But when I'm talking about guys who are at an elite level, it is basically those 3: Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Steph Curry. There's other stars of a high level below them. But when the gaming's on the line, one of those 3 guys will have the ball. Because they're a level, they're superstars, but they're super duper stars because of their great skill sets and their ability to rise to the moment. I think the perfect example was at this recent Olympics, where Steph Curry in the final game versus France basically waved off Kevin Durant and LeBron James and took that amazing shot that someone called the Golden Dagger, which will be the shot that will forever define his career. No matter how many championships he win or would have won, that shot, waving off 2 elite stars and saying, "Hey, I got this," that's levels beyond levels. That's about leveling up. And where those guys started was not, except for LeBron James and maybe LeBron James and Kevin Durant actually were elite. But guys like Steph Curry, they were pseudo average, and then they now sit on a mountaintop. And that's all part of leveling up. You're finding levels within levels. Because everyone exists on a playing field. But that playing field has sub-levels, higher levels, and even more levels. And that is how you start to understand how our society is structured. Because many of us assume that there is, when we see people who are the same level of accomplishments or skill sets and so forth, we assume that they have the same gravitas. That's not necessarily true. Because between those people, they know who has the higher level. Because there's levels within levels. And you will see them get that respect. Especially if they're making a difference in our society. Can you learn to grow those levels? Yes. I'm going to use a perfect example. As many of you know from my previous podcasts, I'm a big time Kamala Harris supporter. I hope she runs again in 2028. Because I think she would have leveled up again in terms of her acumen and understanding of how to win races. Kamala's first loss in all her racing, if she got to a general election, I should say, correction, if she got to a general election, was this recent 2024 election. But she won San Francisco DA in a tough race. She won Attorney General in a tough race. She won Senate. I don't know how tough that race was, but she still became senator. And then she became the first female vice president of the United States. Then she ran for president of the United States on the Democratic ticket. Many were surprised at her growth because they were looking at her through a 2019 lens where she fell out early in the Democratic primary. Not taking into fact that an intelligent and smart woman like her will sit down, do a lot of analysis, and say, this is the level I need to get to, because there's levels within levels. And also study from a guy like Joe Biden, who's been a phenomenal president and will be a consequential president going forward in terms of history. And she understood that in order to go from 2019 Kamala Harris to 2024 Kamala Harris, she has to learn and intake a lot of knowledge and also practice certain skills. And what we saw in 2024 is her development and her execution. And that was a lot of practice I'm pretty sure she's doing behind the scenes. And you will see it again if she runs in 2028. She could either run for governor of California, she could run for president in 2028. It's up to her. That's her decision to make. But that's a good example of levels within levels. When you sit down and think, I have not hit a certain level because I can see someone already there. What do I need to do to get to that level? And then you put in the hard work and effort. And that effort will pay off in dividends, especially if the work you intend to do to get there will also benefit society, and the outcomes of that work benefit society. As I said, this is a society podcast. This is the only thing we focus on, helping American society and global society, because we're all in this together. So there's levels within levels. And it requires a lot of drive and commitment. It requires you to sit back and be introspective of what your capacity is for more. And once you see that capacity or your core, a lot of anime, a lot of fantasy books, especially literature RPG books, always talk about building your core. You start with a core and you build it out, and you make it so powerful that you become sick, an overpowered main character of a series. That is what being introspective and knowing what your capacity is for more and for further growth. You have to push yourself, test yourself. If people really knew me, and I'm not going to discuss that part of me because I don't need to. That's not about me at the end of the day. They would be surprised at my core. As I said to someone over on Facebook, there's a real difference in our levels. Because my level is so high that it's even scares me. But I want to go to another level, and I want to bring people there with me. Because I believe in making a difference in our society. Because that difference we make will affect others throughout the generations. It'll also affect our family members, our children, and those who may not know they need to be affected in a positive way, but will be affected in a positive way. That's what leveling up does. And if you can find in yourself your capacity for more, for that growth, for that push, for that expansion, you can become someone beyond who you thought you would be. And that's also being perspective, looking to the future, having vision of yourself for the future. I mentioned the fact that I hope I never catch the future of me, because hopefully he's making a good difference. It's true. Because you're chasing that person. You're finding those levels that you've never seen before, that you never thought you can achieve before. And that's learning from others, that's listening to others, and also practicing in a manner that shows you're committed to excellence in whatever you do. And I think that's what sometimes is very hard for folks, that commitment to excellence, because it's hard. It's hard work. You're not going to be perfect, but if you're committed, that's where you can achieve greatness. Perfection is not greatness. Perfection is beyond greatness. I don't think I'll ever hit perfection, but I'll chase it. Because that's part of leveling up. And I hope I never catch it, because then I would have stopped improving. And that should be the same thing about everyone out there in terms of leveling up. You are chasing something that can help you help others. You are growing internally, and it's reflecting externally. And if you can hit those levels, beyond levels, you will make a difference in people's lives. And that should be the driving factor in leveling up. And that's what those main characters did in a lot of those animes, Naruto wanted to be the Hokage. Asta wants to be the Wizard King. I never knew what Goku wanted to be, other than just the best fighter out there. But I know they all wanted to make a better society. And that was what their core focus on leveling up meant. the more powerful, stronger, and connected they became to others, and the more they help people find their best selves as part of their own leveling up, they would have made a difference in the lives of many and all across the society. So when you focus on leveling up, and I hope you do, have the focus that you're going to make a difference in our society. And that will force you and empower you, encourage you to be the best you can be. Yes, I stole the old Army's motto and the new Army's motto. Be the best you can be. Because you don't know what the best you can be is until you start pursuing something greater than yourself and finding in yourself that intestinal fortitude, that drive, that commitment, that push to go beyond who you thought you would be. And thus, you'll make a difference in our society. Thank you very much for my podcast. Thank you very much for watching my podcast. My name is Dr. DAAM. Please like and subscribe and share this podcast. This has been episode 21, Leveling Up. Be safe.